Welcome back, guys. So I took some other renders of the model. So and I'm using the kind of rendering this out or saving this out as an AC's RRT version 1 color correction or color management rather. So now you just have to, by default it should be on sRGB gamma, something like so, something like this. So I kind of change this to this. Then by default the value in here should be around 0, so I just crank this up to what just happened. Okay, so I just crank this up to a value of 1.8. with a value of 1.8, you come in here to file, then under save image option, you want to kind of make sure you're using the same color space in here to kind of render this out as an image format. So you come here on view transform, then make sure you change this to AC's RRT version 1, and then you also make sure you apply. This should be turned off by default. Also, this should be turned off by default. So make sure you turn this on. Then you can easily just save out the image file. So that's basically how you kind of save this out. But I won't be saving this out. I just want to kind of show you guys what I did to kind of get this looking like so. Another thing, now today we're actually going to be working on the look development for the Xgen hair. But another thing I did in here was I'm using a higher resolution to kind of render this out. So I'm using this slightly different settings for the rendering. So let me just show you guys. So this is the settings for the rendering. I already have this preset already in here to kind of use. So in case you want to use the same thing, you just have to just adjust what you have in here, and that's basically it. But for now, let me just take it back to preview. Import render setting, user low render setting. Okay, then I'll just make sure this is still on 1K resolution, which is fine. Close this. Let me take another snapshot of this around here. So I'll just take a snapshot of this again. So we have so we have two in here, and this actually came out quite nicely. But now let's just work on the Xgen here for this. So let me turn off caps lock. So I'll go to Xgen. So let me just get a closer view on the hair. I would like to turn everything or every other thing off just to get my scene to work a bit faster. So let me just temporarily hide all the other accessories in here. So let me just hide the other accessories in here. Let's just visualize the. So I'm going to start from the main head here instead. Then the same material we use for that, probably the same material we're going to be using for the others, but let me just get. Okay, so I'm going to be using this reference we have in here to kind of capture the capture the darkness of the air. But for the most part, the Xgen air system shading system in here is actually quite accurate, so you might not be needing to do so much work to kind of get a very good result. Okay, so let's carry on. So let me just put this to the side like so. I would like to start with the main hair. So head scalp. For now, I would not like to preview this though. Let's see, because by default it's already on our render. It's already showing in our render already. Then just get a closer view like so, somewhere. Probably something around here should be fine. So I would, let's go to the preview outputs or scroll down. I want to make sure our renderer is on Arnold renderer. Okay, so this is for the center head hair. I'll do this also for the side head hair. Make sure this is on Arnold renderer. Okay, I think that should be fine. Then let me just collapse this and hide. Okay, I think probably hide everything else apart from the head. Just to work a bit faster in here. Then we'll go to the collection, the head hair collection. Then we'll open this up. So I'll select these two. We'll select these two. Just hope this applies to it correctly. Maybe we should, I'm not sure if I should update this, but I'm also going to make sure I'm kind of selecting the hairs and nothing else. Because I know if I kind of update this, can't really do this here. Okay, let's just right click and hold. Then assign new hair material. Then select Arnold for this. And let's use the AI standard hair. You want to make sure you're using this this AI standard hair. So I'll select that. And then I'm going to be using from the documentation for the AI standard hair to kind of use kind of similar settings in there to kind of make sure I'm kind of using something a bit more physically realistic. So let's just come in here, the AI standard hair. Then let's just name this to head hair. Let me use all caps for this. Head hair. Okay. Then based on the documentation, I think I will not want to kind of go through the entire settings. I'll kind of advise you guys to kind of go into the Arnold documentation for the hair, so you can get a better idea as to how to set this up and what they actually do specifically. So I'm going to be using I took a screenshot just to show you guys. So one of the major things I'm going to be looking at for the hair shading is the melanin. So this melanin is what actually controls the major discoloration of the hair. And there are different values in here to kind of give you a clear idea as to which particular color you might be going for, and the actual value to kind of use to kind of get a very close realistic result for it. So for a more darker hair, so the melanin parameter is used to generate natural hair colors by controlling the amount of melanin in the hair. Colors will range from blonde around 0.2 to red, and brown around 0.5 to black at 1.0. To control the hair color with a texture map, set melanin to 0 and use base color instead. So but I'm not going to be using a texture map in here. So I'm just going to be using this melanin values in here to kind of control how dark I want the hair to be. So like it says in here, for a brown hair is around 0.5 to 1 for full black hair. So I think I'm not going to be using a value of full one though. I think I'm going to start with a value of let's say 0.85 instead. So I'll come in here and I'll type in to the melanin, I'll type in 0.85 instead. Then I'm going to check the Arnold render view and then kind of render this out, kind of see what we have in there. But making sure, let's test resolution should be at 50%. Then let's run the IPR and let's see what that gives us. Okay, so right off the bat you can see how good this is already. You can probably even leave this like this if you want to, which is also looking quite good enough to work with. But I'd like to kind of make this feel slightly more interesting. So I'm going to add some kind of melanin redness to this. So controls the redness of the hair. Higher values increases the proportion of red melanin as found in red hair relative to the amount of brown and EU melanin. So I think now okay, this is a value of 0 and this is a value of 1. But I don't think we need much or so much redness in this dark hair though. We don't need so much redness. Even the default actually looks fine for this. The default actually looks fine for this. But let's just add just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit for this. So okay, melanin redness is already at 0.5. Which is what is giving us this result already, which is actually fine. Which is actually fine. I don't think I'll need to make any other adjustment to this, because at the value of this actually looks fine. It actually looks fine. So I'm going to leave this as it is. Yes, I'm definitely going to leave this as it is. So is there any other? Let's see. We can just replicate. Oh yes, one more thing we need to do. The shift for this, push it to the side a bit more. Where is that shift? Yes, shift value. The shift value for this. So there's a specific value for each ethnicity. So the angle of scales on the hair fiber shifting the primary and secondary specular reflection away from the hair mirrors direction for realistic results for human hair. A small angle of 0 to 10 should be used. Values for animal form may be different. For synthetic hair such as nylon wig, use a shift value of 0 since the surface of the fiber is smooth. So, but there's actually a value in here that we can actually use. So there are different values in here. For an Indian hair, a shift value of 3.7. Japanese hair 3.6, Chinese hair 3.6, light brown European 2.9, but for an African hair, a value of 2.3 should work just fine. So let's just come in here to the shift and just put this at a value of 2.3. 2.3. Hit enter on this, and then we'll just allow this render out. So I think I'm just going to be repeating the same. Yes, I'm going to be putting the same values for all of this. So, okay, one more thing I need to kind of do is the randomizer. Kind of add some melanin randomizer to it. So, we have the melanin randomizer to it. So, this kind of adds some kind of other variations of hair hue inside of the hair. So, randomize the amount of melanin in hair fibers for variation in hair colors. That's a value of 0.5. That's quite high. That's actually quite high. We will not be needing a value that high for this. Though the default value seems to work just fine though. The default value looks fine. This particular value also looks, this value of 0.25 also looks interesting, but I think I'm just going to try, let's try a value of, let's just try this value of 2.5 and let's see what that gives us. Though from a close up view it look fine, but we're kind of looking at this from, let's say we have this at a distance. We don't want this to be too aggressive, so I'm going to be using a value of 0.2 instead. So I'm going to use a value of 0.2 instead. For this, maybe for the beard we might be using something a bit more higher, maybe a value of 0. Probably a value of, okay, 0.2 should still work just fine also. So let's just give this a moment to load and then we'll come back when this is done. But for the most part, I think we are actually good. Every other thing should just be repetition of this every other thing should be repetition of using this melanin value, this same melanin redness, and this melanin randomize, and then making sure the shift value is accurately at 2.3 for this. So all of this should work just fine. Okay, so zooming out on this, we can kind of see how dulled out this is beginning to look based on this randomizer we just added in here, this melanin randomizer added in here, which also gives it a slightly interesting result to it. But I'm guessing this feels slightly much, but it should work just fine though. Since we're going for a post-apocalyptic look to this, so I think this should work just fine. It shouldn't look completely clean and completely fresh, so we should kind of add some kind of stain to it, and then this melanin randomizer actually gives an idea of hairs kind of having a slight shift in the hue and saturation of the hair strands randomly across the surface. So that should give us a more interesting result to it. So I'm just going to leave that. So I'm definitely going to leave that as it is. Okay, this actually looks quite nice. So I think that should be fine. Though for the hairs on the eyebrow, I think I'm not going to be using this randomized. Probably going to use the same randomized value though. Probably still going to use that. Maybe not too much. Maybe at a lower value. Maybe at a value of 0.15 instead. But so far, this actually looks quite nice. So let's just repeat the same thing for the other parts of the hair. So I'll just stop this render for now. So this render for now. Then let's go to I'll go back to Xgen. So let's come in here to the eye scalp instead. I don't know if maybe I'll need more hairs generated for the eyebrow. I'm not too sure. But let's just update this in here. Let's update this in here. Let's see what that gives us. I think we're needing a bit more. Then we also need to make sure the renderer is Arnold for this. So on the primitives tab, so this is for the eyebrow. I think I'll need a bit more in here. So I think I'll just put this at a value of 150. Let's update this again. Okay. And we also need to kind of think we need to update this in here. Let's update the clumping also for this. Okay. Let me just get this. I think at an angle like this should be fine. The eyelashes, let's update this also. I think I'll need a few more on the eyelashes. So let's just increase this to a value of, let's try 180. Let's try 200. Okay, let's get this around here like so. So making sure on the output settings the renderer is also on Arnold. Then let's go to the eyes cap for this. I'll select this to description, right click and hold, assign new material, AI standard air. Let me just name this to eyebrow underscore lashes. Okay, that should be fine. Then I think I would, in here, the same melanin value of 0.85 should be fine. Probably let's just use a value of 0.1. Let's just use 0.1 for now. Then the shift should be on 2.3. The value should be 2.3. Yes, 2.3 in here. 2.3. Okay, then let's just go to our render view. I'll turn off this render region for now. So let's just fire up this render and let's see what we have. I'm going to use the render region now and just select this region like so. And let's just give this a moment. The eyelashes, I'm not too sure, but they actually look quite thin. Look quite thin. I don't know if I should. I think the eyelashes are quite thin. Let me stop this for now. Probably need a bit more for the eyelashes. Not too sure if I need. Let's generate this again and save. Same for the clumping too. Okay, let's update this. Turn off the clumping one and turn off the clumping two also. Let's see what that gives us. I think I kind of won't like this without the clumping. Okay, let's just probably we're looking at this from an angle. Probably why we can't really see it properly in our render view. So let's render this out again. Let's just run this again. Probably increase the CV count for this to a value of No, I don't think the CV count should be so much of an issue. Let's just allow this render out. Actually, in the probably we need a higher resolution render to kind of see them properly. Probably the angle we're looking at this from is not giving us as much quality as we would need for this. Okay, but for the most part, I think this should be just fine. It should be just fine. Yeah, I think this should be fine. I think we can safely go on to the beard now. Yeah, I think for the most part this should work just fine. So I'll just stop this. So let's just go for the beard now. So beard. For this beard, I think I'll need a bit more. Probably need a bit more. So let me just increase this to 200. Okay, and making sure to update this in the clumping modifier. Okay, then let's run this entire updating here. Just zoom out a bit more like so. Kind of get this somewhere around here, should be fine. Okay, then let's make sure the preview setting, the renderer we're using is Arnold render. This value in here, I'm not too sure about this value in here. Probably put this as value of 2 instead. 1.2 should be fine. Okay, so let's open the collection, select the description, right click and hold, assign new material, AI standard here. Let's just name this to beard mustache. Okay, then let's just put this to a value of 2.3 to begin with, since we are closer to it. Melanin value of 1.85. Redness should be fine. This value, I think I'll just probably even increase this a bit more. Probably put this to something around 0.3 for now. And let's see what that gives us. Let's just run, let's do a quick save. Okay, then let's run the IPR. Let's just run this another IPR for this. Let's see what that gives us. Let me turn off this render region for now. Let's fire this up. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so after rendering this out, I'm not too sure if the density feels a bit much, so I'm just going to take this down to back to a value of 150. I think now update this again. I think this should be just fine. Then I think that's just basically it. Any other thing you're supposed to do, you can just go back in there into Xgen tab and modifiers, and then modify that until you have your desired results. So this should update almost instantly for this. So I'm going to be using the render regions, kind of render out just this region should be just fine. So the SDF is a bit scanty though. You'll always go back into the density marks and begin to adjust that. So it's more or less like a back and forth thing until you're happy with the desired results. So I think I'll just leave this, maybe increase this to 170 instead. Increase this CV count to, no, I'll just leave the CV count, this modify CV count the way it is. I'll just update this. Then any other setting you need to do again should be self-explanatory. Then you can just make high resolution renders for your models. Okay, I think this should be basically everything. Anything you're supposed to do is just based on personal preference. You can just adjust that as you go until you're happy with the final result. So I think this will be all for now. I think I'll see you guys in the next lesson.